Hi everyone. In this video, we are going to cover the listening section. We're going to give an overview of the listening section. So general aspects of the listening section. The listening section consists of two types of listenings. It can be either a lecture or a conversation. So in the listening section, you may have either 3 to 4 lectures and 2 to 3 conversations. The number varies because you may have extra questions that don't count for your overall score, as you may have seen in the general TOEFL overview video that I posted. All of your questions are going to be multiple choice questions, so you're going to have alternatives. Remember, this means you can guess and you will always have a chance of getting it right. And some questions may have more than one answer, which means you may be asked to choose 2 answers out of the multiple choice, all the multiple answers. Now, important principles for the listening section, take notes. This is the most important thing, and this is the most important thing both for the listening and for the speaking section. Taking notes is kind of the main thing you have to do in order to get a good score in this section. Another principle that we take it from the reading section too, and it applies for the whole TOEFL, only the information in the audios exists, which means if the audio is a lecture that talks about a subject that you know, maybe it's a topic that you did your thesis on, or it's talking about something that you just read in a book or in an article, you do not bring the outside information in. Remember, only the information that they provide exists. So you do not bring your own ideas, you do not bring your own opinion, you do not bring even your own words, okay? Now, things to do, we want to take notes. We want to be specific, which means we want to take specific notes. We only copy what they say. We do not copy what they don't say. We're going to focus on keywords. We're going to see this in depth when we see how to take notes. And we're going to use the process of elimination for eliminating the wrong answers. Things we don't want to do, we don't want to try to understand everything. Remember, this is the same principle as in the reading section. You do not care about the whole topic. You just care about repeating or copying whatever information they're providing. We do not bring outside information. Remember, only the information in the audio in this case exists. We do not leave unanswered questions. Remember, these are multiple choice, so you will have at least 25% chance of getting it right if you guess. So it's better to be wrong than to be blank. And most importantly, do not rely on your memory. Okay, some people think, or you may know, you have a very prodigious memory and you may be able to memorize every single word that they say in the listening. Do not do it. Okay, you do not want to rely on your memory for 2 reasons. One, because it may be false, like you may not really have a prodigious memory and you may just be wrong. Okay, and the second reason, because you may get tired. So let's say you do have a prodigious memory and you do get everything word by word, you get to repeat it word by word, you're still gonna get tired. Okay, this is a 4-section exam and the listening section is the second section. So if you force your brain to have all this information in it for the whole exam, you will reach the end of the exam really tired. So even if you can, don't do it. And most of us really can't. Okay, so we do not rely on our memory, we rely on our notes. Okay, now to the most important thing, how to take notes. This is how we're going to take notes. We're going to copy as much information as we can with as little words, as few words as possible, okay? So this means we are not going to use full sentences, okay? Don't use full sentences on 4 words. So if you don't want to use full sentences, what do we use? We're going to use abbreviations, we're going to use symbols, we're going to use initials, and we're going to use charts or drawings in it. So when I mean abbreviations, so instead of writing, for example, the word summer, we're probably just going to write some with double M, and this will imply that is the word summer. An important thing I just told you before, that you do not have to rely on your memory, but you still want to remember some of the things. So your abbreviations will depend on the context. So if you're not say something like this, some is fun, in the context, there's very little chance that you confuse the word some, for addition, instead of the word summer. So even if you don't want to rely on your memory for the whole information, you definitely want to rely on your memory for the context for your abbreviations. So you don't want to rely on full sentences because you can get the same information just using abbreviations. We want to use symbols as arrows, circles, bullet points, whatever is necessary in order to convey the information of relationship between sentences or informations. Okay. An example of how to take notes. I'm going to read these examples. So let's say the audio is presented saying the following. Coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19, is a contagious disease caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus 2. The first case was identified in Wuhan, China in December 2019. It has since spread worldwide, leading to an ongoing pandemic. So what you don't want to do is copy word for word what it just heard. Okay. First of all, you cannot do it at the pace the audios are going on. You are actually not able to copy word by word. And if you try to copy word by word, you're going to be delayed. You're going to be left behind, and you're not going to keep up with the audio. So what you want to do is you want to focus on the specific keyword, key information that is provided in the audio. So you're going to copy something like this. Your notes have to look something like this. Corona 2019, contagious disease. I'm not even writing the full word disease. I'm just writing this. Okay, remember, again, this may mean many different things. But in the context, if I'm putting contagious and I'm putting the word corona and acute, my brain is going to connect it with the word disease. I'm not going to think something like dismissive or any other word that may begin with this. Acute respiratory, again, I'm not even writing the full word respiratory. I put SARS in parentheses. First, Wuhan, China, dates and places, and word pandemic. Okay, so you can see how this very long piece of information has been reduced to very specific words. I pretty much got rid of most of the verbs. I got rid of most of the articles and got rid of most of the prepositions. Okay, because these are information that are just pretty much filling the information that we can just get from the context. Okay. Another example, let's say I have an audio that says this. In physics, a state of matter is one of the distinct forms in which matter can exist. Four states of matter are observable in everyday life: solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. Many intermediate states are known to exist, such as liquid crystal, and some states only exist under extreme conditions, such as Bose-Einstein condensates, neutron degenerate matter, and quark-gluon plasma, which only occur respectively in situations of extreme cold, extreme density, and extreme high energy. So now I want you to take notes on this. Again, remember, focus on the important information, leave out the unimportant information or information you can autocomplete while checking your abbreviations. Okay, and again, I don't want your notes to look exactly like mine, but you should have an idea of what important words are. So we're gonna focus on physics, state of matter, matter can exist. So there are four. We're always gonna focus on numbers or lists, or how many examples, how many states, how many theories. So we are definitely gonna focus on the names and intermediate. So my notes are going to look something like this, right? So I have states of matter. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And I have solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. And then I have another piece of information about intermediate states. So I'm going to write intermediate. And intermediate, I'm going to put Bose-Einstein, neutron degenerate, quark-gluon. Well, that's pretty much it. Okay, now, why don't I need to write full sentences? Because remember, this is a multiple choice. So as soon as you see in one of the alternatives the word BE or something that begins with B and E, that's going to be referring to whatever you wrote in your notes. So you don't really have to memorize, and you don't really have to write a full sentence. Another important piece of information here is maybe since English is not your native language, maybe you hear a sound and you're not exactly sure of how to write it. Okay, like maybe I'm gonna erase this. Like maybe in this audio you hear the word quark-gluon. Okay, and you have no idea of how to write quark-gluon. So what are we going to do? We're just going to write it phonetically from whatever language you actually speak. So you're going to put, maybe I don't know that it's spelled like this. So I'm just going to put something like, okay, quark-gluon. Okay, like I don't even have to respect the spelling. I just have to respect the sound of it. Okay, and this is very important. So just because you don't know a word doesn't mean you cannot write it. You cannot copy it. Okay, moving on to the notes, from notes to strategy. The notes that we're going to take the notes while listening. So because we don't have any specific time to prepare or to write notes after the listening, so we just have to copy while we listen. After we take notes, we're going to be presented with the questions. What we're going to do, we're going to read and listen to the question, and then we're going to know in which question type we are. We're going to see this in a moment. Then we're going to look for keywords in the questions, both in the questions and in the alternatives, and we're going to go to the specific part of our notes that contain those keywords. Remember, only the information in the audios exists, and the information in the audios is translated into your notes, so only the information in your notes should exist. Even if you see an alternative that sounds reasonable or sounds like something you could have written or you could have heard, if you really don't remember hearing it or you don't have it in your notes, it doesn't exist. And finally, we're going to use process elimination to eliminate the wrong alternatives. So what does process elimination look like? We covered this in the reading question, in the reading section. But basically, we eliminate alternatives based on having a wrong word, having an extreme word, opposite information, being out of scope, or being true but not answering the specific question. I'm actually going to make a full video just for process of elimination to make it very clear. But remember, as long as you have this list, you can use it to eliminate the wrong answers. Okay, we only have two types of audios, okay? We only have a conversation and a lecture. A conversation will always be between a male and a female, so you can always separate your notes into male and female, what a male says, what a female says. There will always be distinct voices, distinct tone of voices, so you don't get confused as to who said what. And a lecture is always going to be on a college level subject. Usually it's on science, but it can be on literature, it can be on art, it can be on any typical class that you may find in college. Now, according to the ETS, the official provider of the TOEFL exam, there are 7 question types in the listening section. There are gist, content, detail, function, attitude, organization, connecting content, and inference. I actually reduced all of these question types to 3 because gist content is nothing but a factual question. Detail is actually a factual question. Function is a purpose question. Attitude is a purpose question. Organization is a factual question. Connecting content is an inference. And inference, well, yes, is an inference. Okay, you can find more depth to these question types in the reading section, but we're also going to develop them when we do the question types and strategy. So remember, we only have 3 question types, 3 main question types. Factual questions, which means it is what it is. Like they have to literally say the answer, and the answer is literally there, and it has to be in your notes. We have the inference question, in which we take information that is not exactly in the notes or not exactly in the audio, but it stems from there, which means we create new information based on the information that is provided. And finally, the purpose question, which is a kind of an inference. We are still getting information out of the audio, but this time it's about the structure of the information. You can see the purpose question type in the reading section videos. Okay, recommended material. Actually, I recommend that you use full practice tests on YouTube. There are a couple of channels on YouTube that are very good and they provide full tests. Actually, you can just Google listening TOEFL and you're going to get a lot of information or a lot of practice tests. Be sure to use full practice tests. Okay, don't use just 1 or 2 questions. Be sure to use a full practice test section. I also recommend that if you have access or you can have spare money, you do pay for official practice tests. The thing about official practice tests, you can have access to all of them, to all of the sections, reading, listening, speaking, and writing. But you kind of don't need it because the answers are pretty much always on the practice test on YouTube, so you can get your own score for the listening section. Recommended tutor. For the reading and listening, you may need a tutor, but it's not mandatory to get a tutor because you can get feedback just from the information that you're using. You can find a community tutor online. Remember, I recommend that if you do hire a tutor, do not get a tutor who's just going to sit there, watch you listen to an audio, and you're going to pay him or her for just watching you listen to things and practice on your own. Get a tutor who is going to give you feedback on your work and on your answers, and can kind of effectively explain what is exactly the mistakes that you're making. So that's it for an overview. We're going to continue with a video for strategy and question types. I only have 2 videos for the listening section. I will also only have 2 videos for the speaking section because, as I told you, the only section in which you're going to take a lot of time to prepare is the reading section. All the other sections are just a bunch of practice. So remember, please like, subscribe, and share with somebody who you think may have a good use for this. And that's it. See you in the next video.